Remember that part in Dracula where he takes the boat to England and then the boat wrecks, and when they find the captain's log and it's like, hey, for some reason we're losing a crew member a day. I don't know what's going on. This is the movie of that.
You make it sound so much more interesting than it actually is. But this movie is called The Last Voyage of the Demeter, but they really should have just called it Vampire Boat. Wouldn't you go to Vampire Boat like Space Jail? Just call it what it is, right?
Water skiing with Dracula.
Right? That's what it is. It's Alien on a boat. So we're here reviewing this because it's August. We are here for you. We'd love it if you would subscribe because we're going to carry you all the way through the doldrums of August, all the way into all the festival time, prestige-y good movies. So hang in there with us. We got you.
Evil is on board. Powerful evil.
We call him Dracula.
This is from Norwegian horror director André Øvredal, who also has done Troll Hunters and Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. And it basically begins with the ship having crashed, and then it goes back to the beginning of what happened. And it is this ship that went from Romania to England, and it has all this cargo on it, including a whole bunch of really mysterious boxes with a very ominous looking mark on them, which makes several potential crew members go, no, I know what that is.
Pass.
Because Dracula's on board. He's crafty. He finds a way, and so he has stowed away. There he is. Oops. And so it's essentially Alien, like one by one, people get picked off and they got to figure out how to survive. Corey Hawkins is among the crew members. Liam Cunningham is the ship's captain, and Woody Norman, who was so great in Come On, Come On, the kid from Come On, Come On, is the kid here. He's very good. Cavid Dastmalchian is the first mate. And it's really screechy, and there are a lot of jump scares. And a lot of the time it's kind of inscrutable because it's like nighttime and they're on top of the ship and they're inside the ship. And I realize that Tom Stern is a cinematographer here, and he's like veteran DP, has shot many Clint Eastwood films over the past 20 years. But I couldn't really see what was going on a lot of the time. And I had an issue with perspective, like what is where compared to anything else. And that kind of like depleted the tension for me as far as figuring out where they are in relation to him. But eventually you see him and the creature effects are pretty cool. And it's a different incarnation of Dracula than I think we are accustomed to seeing.
Not the tuxedo version.
It's not George Hamilton.
Definitely not.
I wish it were.
It's not even Gary Oldman with the B. Arthur wig.
Yeah, no, it's I mean, it's pretty disturbing, and just be warned ahead of time. Some really disturbing stuff happens here. Like they show a lot of things that they don't need to. Like I think it's implied that Dracula is a monster and will kill anybody and anything. Yeah. I don't need to actually see a lot of the stuff that we do see. And I found the score really overbearing. Like it has some moments here and there, but for the most part, I'm like, it's just like this has been in development for 20 years and it just feels very stale and bland.
Yeah, this is one of those things where I liken it to, we talk about, the Apollo 13 effect, which is you can tell a movie where everybody knows how it comes out and still generate suspense and tension along the way and just make you interested in just the pieces of how we get to the foregone conclusion. And here it's just kind of like, yeah, I know where this is going. And if I didn't know where this is going, the fact that you start the movie at the end and then tell this all as a flashback guarantees that I know where this is going. Yeah, it's kind of boring. And they don't make the most of the claustrophobia of the ship. Right. And at the same time, they don't give you the vast expanse of the seas either. Right. It all feels weirdly stage bound in a way. So yeah, I just most of the crew members are kind of interchangeable and not particularly interesting. So when they get bumped off, you're like, which was that, the guy with the violin or the one who likes prostitutes? Like it was just. Yeah, there wasn't
both. Maybe he's embracing the and.
It could be, yes. And maybe I got those guys confused because they all just sort of blur together, like they're like the crew in Meg 2 that way.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think this was kind of a missed opportunity. I mean, I think if nothing else, this seems like it'd be a great idea for a short film. Like I'm going to take this one sliver of Dracula that takes place off stage and dramatize it and turn it into a thing. But as a feature film, it's just kind of like, get on with it already, Dracula. I spent my time thinking, okay, Dracula knows that the boat has to get him to England, so he can't eat everybody right away. But at the same time, he doesn't want to leave any witnesses. So, like, what's the good pacing for when he eats them and how? It was like he was doling out snacks.
He was rationing.
Exactly.
For the long haul, which the ship's crew itself has to do once he tears through all the livestock. It is weird because they should be able to figure out, okay, he comes out at night. Right. So like it takes them way too long to figure out how to manipulate the situation, especially given that they have this woman on board with them who lived in the village beneath Dracula's castle, where he like terrorized her people for centuries. Like
she's the snack he brought on board, and she winds up being the exposition person.
Right. But she should be way more forthcoming with like strategy. But I guess you have to have people get eaten along the way, right?
Yeah.
If you figured it out after the first killing, there'd be no movie.
I will say this for the oftentimes where we talk about movies lacking nerve when it comes to like, I see a kid and a dog, what's going to happen? This movie, goes there. So I'll
That's
give them
a mistake,
points.
Though. No, they get no points.
Well, I mean, look, in the context of this movie, does it add anything? Not really, but at least like they don't skitter away from it the way I think most films would, just in their worry of losing the audience. None of these are spoilers, by the way. Again, they tell you at the very beginning there are no survivors.
Yeah, I just didn't need to see a lot of the stuff that they showed me, and I just, if this sort of thing is really disturbing, there is the "Does the dog die" website.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I just think that felt gratuitous to me, and I think it's going to take a lot of people out. Like if maybe they were on board, no pun intended,
sure,
for the thrills and the suspense of it, I can just imagine that's going to be like, nope. From this point on, I'm done.
I'm not saying the doing so made the movie any more interesting. I'm just saying that at least they did it, which I think a lot of movies wouldn't. But again, should they have? Who knows? Excuse
Bless
me.
you. Was your theater at all crowded? I know you went and paid for a ticket last night.
Weirdly, yes. I was kind of surprised because there's been no like buzz about this movie at all. It's barely been advertised. I barely knew that it was coming out. And the first show on a Thursday at the Grove was, it was a small house, but it was reasonably full. There were a good, like, I'd say 30 people.
That's surprising to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe because there's nothing else opening really wide this week.
Guess. Or, there are people who like, what, Dracula? I'm in,
What's your number then?
Like a 3. I think there's some cool effects, and I liked, the granular, like I like David Dastmalchian's performance. I like Liam Cunningham's performance. But yeah, overall, this is not, they don't build any kind of thrills or suspense, and it just sort of like, you just want them to get on with it already.
I'll say 3.4. That's mostly for, some of the creature effects were kind of startling. So, all right, the last voyage of the Demeter. Don't come aboard.